Hello again, everybody, and welcome back to my Character Crusade Unbound Season 2 Let's Play featuring Alusell. Alteration swordsman with very cold hands. Yeah, I feel like I need to... start each episode like with a funny little one-liner like Gopher or something. This same introduction I think is getting a little dry, isn't it? Yeah, I don't know. So yeah, welcome back. Just yesterday, I caught some of the live stream for the Unbound Season 2 podcast recording. Get off me, woman! No! I'm trying to give my audience an update. Raya? Aren't you jealous or something? You can like keep them off of me for a little bit. Anyway, yeah, I did see a little bit of the live stream. I actually missed a lot of it, just because I was busy with other stuff like work. She is really following me around. Whatever you're selling, I ain't buying, lady. So yeah, I'm actually really looking forward to the actual produced episode of the podcast, so I can get into the meaty little bits that Stu and Joe were sharing. Joe was sharing a little bit of insight on the Ghost of Yore story that I think would be helpful in adding to my own here. Stu actually also had some really interesting takes on how the story was affecting Breezy and how Breezy was handling that kind of thing. So just having an example from somebody who's really good at this kind of thing, like Stu is, might help direct me a little bit more. But for now, I think I'm on an okay path. I actually have the overall story so far pretty much laid out in my head. I'm not sure if it's going to play out as I want it to right now, just because there's still a lot of the season left. And actually, should be 24 hours after the podcast is released, we should get the next part of the Ghost of Yore story, which is we're on alternating weeks on whether it's just like a little story tidbit or if it's an actual bigger piece of the story that requires us to end up at a certain spot on the map. And this week it's one of the bigger ones, so I'm actually really looking forward to seeing where we should end up for the next one. So I don't know. This isn't like a really highly produced Let's Play or anything, so I'm thinking I'm not gonna try to save you guys from spoilers or anything. I could just talk through what I have in mind for the story. But first, let's go ahead and talk about what happened last time. So last time we finally made it to Markarth in the old Hroldan area. We were able to clear the mine at Soljun's sinkhole. It turned out that they had actually dug into an ancient Nordic burial tomb. And while we were in there, we did find a Briarheart, not the actual Forsworn enemy, but the actual thing that they implant in their chest to make them become a Briarheart. That to Alusell was confirmation that he's on the right track. Because when he met the sage outside of Halldir's cairn, the sage is Halldir in our story, or in my story, he told Alusell of experiencing some kind of battles, some ancient battles between the Old Nords and the Reachmen, which are the Forsworn, I believe in this case. So he wanted to come here and check it out. And I think this reaffirmed his belief that he's in the right spot, finding a Briarheart in an old ancient ruin. So it's now 9:38 p.m. I'm role playing that he spent all day in the sinkhole clearing all the Draugr out for the mine workers there. When actually I had to wait like 10 hours to get here. But I think another major piece of the story is about to happen, if my memory serves correctly, about a quest that is kicked off by staying here. So let's talk to the innkeep.
Old Hroldan is
get a
the
room.
stone that the Empire's history is built on. Have a good rest. It's the big room with the double bed.
Thanks.
I'll show you to your room. Right this
You
way.
just told me where it's at, though. Oh, a skill book, too. I didn't see that last time.
Let me know if there's anything else you need.
So this was Tiber Septim's room, huh? I think the phrase that's going through Alusell's head right now is something like, big whoop. He just needs a place to sleep at the moment. Let's go ahead and see what we can get out of this. Two-handed. And it's actually not marked as owned by anybody, so I'm going to go ahead and take that. Interesting. We'll add it to our collection. Alright, time for some sleep. Yeah, she's screaming. We're going to take our skill boosts and block in one-handed, which we have been doing.
Yes, my Thane. Do you need something?
I heard you screaming.
Mara have mercy, that gave me a fright. There's a ghost just wandering around my inn like it owned the place.
Ugh, another ghost. Alright.
Yeah,
Well, actually it's comforting to Alusell that other people actually see this ghost. The innkeep... I'm just going to say that everybody in the inn saw it, including Raya this time.
Waiting for you, Hjalti.
Who?
Hjalti? Is that you? I've been waiting.
Who are you talking about?
You promised me, Hjalti. You promised that when we sacked Folden, you would make me your sworn brother. And I've waited. Even after the enemy's arrows dug into my chest and their hammers crushed my bones, I've waited. Give me your sword, Hjalti, that we may become brothers, as you promised.
This must be Gjukar from the Ghost of Yore story. Aha. Well, I think Alusell would feel obligated at this point, after all of Halldir's telling of this. This sheds a lot of light on the situation here. So let's go ahead and say we'll find his sword, and we'll walk through it here.
To taste battle again.
Who are you? Where are you from?
You don't remember me, Hjalti? 2 campaigns we served together. You saved my life time and time again.
Alright. Okay, so let's see, what does he want us to do here? He wants us to bring that sword from where now? Did he give us the sword? Or do we have to go find it? No, it looks like we're gonna have to go find it. Yeah, so let me figure out where we're going here, and then we'll walk through what this means
we've stopped.
and how it fits into the rest of our story here. It's really bright for 6 a.m., huh? Still seeing those weird graphical anomalies in the sky. Man, that's a bummer. I don't remember seeing that in my last playthrough. But I'm going to do my best not to let it distract me this time. Okay, where are we going? Not too far, I guess, huh? No, it wants me to go... Did I already pick up Hjalti's sword?
Come on in. We got warm food, warm drinks, and warm beds.
Oh, maybe the innkeep knows something about it.
Old Hroldan is the stone that the Empire's history is built on.
The ghost mentioned Hjalti.
Hjalti? I never heard of anyone named Hjalti. Tiber Septim had many names. Maybe that's one of them.
I think you might be right, lady. The ghost was looking for his sword.
A sword? I remember a legend that Tiber Septim had attacked one of the enemy camps before he came to Old Hroldan. It could be there. I'll mark it down on your map.
Great. Where is that now? Ah, all the way up here. Okay, back up toward Dragon Bridge. Yeah, I think we can deal with that. Maybe we can travel back up this way toward Rorikstead through the hills here and see if we can find any more ancient burial grounds or ruins or anything that we can explore at some point. Okay, so we got some traveling to do here, and maybe I can make sense of all this. So in the first episode of the Ghosts of Yore, or the first meeting with Halldir at Halldir's cairn for Alusell, just whacked my head off of that thing. I think I'm going this way. Halldir told a disjointed story that seemed to have two different parts to it. The first one was telling of a story of, it sounded like Nords versus Forsworn in the Old Hroldan area, and he was telling it from the perspective of two warriors, one in particular who was traveling with his friend Gjukar, if I'm pronouncing that right. In fact, let me see here. Yeah, Gjukar. It's this guy right here. I should have put those pieces together from that very first episode. Am I going the right way here? Yes. And as they were joining their ranks, the first person who was telling the story was telling his friend Gjukar that once they were done with this battle, that they would become, that he would make him blood brothers. It turns out that they won that battle, but Gjukar didn't make it. He got killed. This is too much of a coincidence that Halldir would send us here, and that Jukar's ghost would appear at the Old Hroldan Inn for Hjalti not to be Tiber Septim. And I don't quite know that Alusell has put the pieces together that that Halldir was telling the story from the perspective of Tiber Septim, but he does know now that he was telling the story from the perspective of Hjalti. He just doesn't know that Hjalti is Tiber Septim. Or perhaps not, anyway. I don't see Alusell as being an expert in Nord history, but I believe I believe that Tiber Septim, before he became Tiber Septim when he founded the Empire. When he founded the Empire, his name had changed from Hjalti Stormcrown, I believe, to Tiber Septim. No, Hjalti Earlybeard. Stormcrown came later, I believe. So, yeah, very interesting, huh? So, yeah, Alusell does know that Hjalti, that there's Rorikstead up there. I haven't seen any other ruins or anything up here. I do want to follow these little roads, though. They might lead to something. Let's go back up here. Could be that little tower up there that this one side road is leading to. Maybe not. So I don't really remember all the little details about this quest. I don't know if it becomes clear at some point that Hjalti is Tiber Septim or Talos. But if we can't figure that out through this quest, I think Alusell can figure that out at least by the time that he gets back to the college and can research anything on Nord history. And when he does find out that Tiber Septim, aka Talos, aka Hjalti, was the person in Halldir's story, that kind of gives us a little bit more of gives us a little bit more of an incentive to follow the main quest. Let's take care of this magic caster. Totally missed somehow, huh? Oh, jeez. Chugging potions. Yeah, I don't know how that first power attack missed. It looked like I was right on her. Oh, God. What's going on here? Those flames really hurt. Oh, and now I'm out of stamina. This really took me by surprise. Oh. What a pain. I'm just gonna blow through all my healing potions, aren't I? Finally caused an injury here. Let's see if we just hack away. Huh. We've been having such an easy time with everything lately. I wonder how that became so hard. Maybe I was just distracted by the story. Anyway, that does give us kind of story incentive on following the main quest, which I think at that point lends a little more meaning to that whole thing. Makes it a little more important to Alusell. Skill book, yes please. Lots of two-handed stuff around lately. Some good stuff to sell. So yeah, I'm actually really... it's been so long since I've done this quest that I don't remember exactly what connections can be drawn from this quest to Hjalti. Oh, jeez. little better, I suppose. Yeah, so I don't know what connections can be drawn from Hjalti to Tiber Septim. Oh, you scared me, Raya. But if there isn't, there's definitely some ways we can roleplay out of this in the college, or the Bard's College at least. Yeah, I guess now that I'm a member of both colleges, I gotta start differentiating which college I'm talking about. I'm thinking that's gonna be the College of Winterhold, the Mages College, just because we're on our way up there anyway for our, to see if we can have, if Tolfdir has any more flesh spells, an iron flesh spell in particular. We're still trying to make do with the stone flesh spell. Iron flesh would help us quite a bit, I think. Thought I heard a bear around here somewhere. It's a lightning strike. So yeah, this is what I'm thinking now that we're actually on the proper path here. So we were visited by Halldir. Halldir has no backstory, except that he was an ancient Nord. You find him in an ancient Nord burial ground. He looks like a Draugr, except he's ghostly. So I'm thinking that Halldir was actually a close friend or advisor to Tiber Septim during this whole process. And in the lore, on UESP.net, if you look up Tiber Septim, you get some backstory. There's actually an alternate history that says that Tiber Septim was employing some kind of sinister entity, and I don't remember exactly what that was, but some kind of magical entity that granted him power to be able to conquer all the lands that he did. So he wasn't just doing it on his own accord, and it wasn't just the dragon blood with the Thu'um. But it was some vile creature that was giving him power. I'm kind of thinking that vile power, I can just say, was a dragon priest, either Hevnarak or Vokun. And to kind of save Tiber Septim's soul, Halldir took that curse upon himself. So he's stuck with the curse. And now he's trying to get us to relieve that curse. For some reason. Either because he's spiteful for us, blocking his resurrection attempt, or he, in our battle, he saw some kind of potential in us that led him to believe that we have the capacity to actually do something about it, or some combination of both. But as the story progresses, I'm not thinking that Halldir is petty enough to go for revenge or act out of spite, especially in this new light. So I'm thinking Halldir sensed in us some potential, and that potential may have been the fact that we're Dragonborn, even though Alusell doesn't know that. We haven't hit that in the story yet. We've been able to avoid Helgen up to this point. But once he sensed that in us, he kind of became like a guardian angel figure, or for any horror movie fans, if you've seen American Werewolf in London, the guy's buddy, the ghost that haunts him, that kind of tries to guide him through everything involving him being a werewolf. Something similar to that is what I'm seeing. This is kind of what I'm envisioning for this character and his connection with Halldir. A couple, and that all seems pretty cool to me. It all seems like it would fit together really great. The pitfalls that I'm seeing here. Number one, there's the second part of the disjointed story that Halldir was telling us. So not the Nords versus the Reachman story, who is Hjalti now, and probably will become clear to Alusell later that that was Tiber Septim. But also the injured guy in the inn. And I'm not actually sure if that's a second point or a third point. So this second part of the story involved a guy who was going into an inn and became so confused and disoriented that everybody's faces started like to become contorted. And he tried to leave the inn to get some fresh air, and somebody redirected him back to the bar. And it all just became so overwhelming that he started to throw up a little bit, and he passed out and hit the ground. And either when he woke up or just somebody completely different, there's somebody in an inn. And I'm thinking that this is the same guy. His ribs are all wrapped up. He's seeing blood under the bandages. And he seems in pretty bad shape. And he's being sort of nursed, or at least it appears he's being nursed by the innkeep. And this guy who is injured, he keeps seeing a shrouded figure. And he mentioned an iron mask. So I'm thinking that that's probably an image of a dragon priest. So I don't know how this sort of branch of this story fits into everything yet. It could really throw all of my plans completely out of whack once that becomes uncovered. But, fortunately for me, there is no hard and fast rule in this season that we have to use everything that we hear in this Ghosts of Yore storyline. So I think I'm going to say the path on this train of thought here. I don't see anything good in here, do you? Nope. Okay, the second pitfall that I see here. What is the second pitfall? There is a second pitfall, and now I'm going to forget what I said and sound like a complete idiot, like the whole Red Guards and Magic thing. Oh, the second pitfall, the second trouble point here is going to be, how does Olaf fit into all this? I got to find something in there. It could be that Olaf somehow became the steward of one of these dragon priests. Okay, the sword should be right around here somewhere. Let's see if I'm missing a... Okay, it looks like there's a Nordic ruin up here somewhere. And of course I can't get up there. How amazing. I'm gonna have to go all the way around, aren't I? Okay. So I'm thinking that Olaf might be like a steward or a herald, even, for Hevnarak or Vokun, one of these dragon priests. And that the spirit of Olaf One Eye presented himself to Hjalti or Tiber Septim as kind of like a mentor figure. And Tiber Septim, not knowing that Olaf was under the influence of one of these dragon priests, gladly accepted his help and his tutelage. And that could be that entity in the alternate history on UESP regarding how Tiber Septim was able to gain the power to conquer all the lands that he did. So yeah, that kind of keeps Tiber Septim's heroic status intact, I think, as kind of a benevolent and alright, something tells me that I'm gonna actually have to go through all those ruins to get to where I need to be. It's probably a dead end, but maybe not. Is Deepwood Readout part of another quest that I have? So, I'm sorry, the reason I'm hesitating here is I don't know if I'm supposed to follow this road right up to where the sword is, or if I'm supposed to go through the readout here to get to where I need to go. See, my fear is I'm gonna run down here, not be able to get back up, and then have to go through all that all over again anyway, which almost happened anyway. Yeah, so that's a lot of pieces to fit together, but I think that kind of fits. So yeah, Tiber Septim gets to keep his heroic, benevolent, do no wrong status, which ultimately propelled him into godhood as the divine Talos. Let's go ahead and quick save. It's been a while. That also sort of explains how Olaf was able to take down Numenex if he were granted some kind of power over the dragon from a dragon priest. Well, that went a lot better. Alright, I'm feeling better. Which was the whole point of that whole Barge College initiation quest. That Olaf was a liar. Well, just as I was saying things were going better, I get fried to a crisp. I missed a power attack and a bash there, I think. I rolled right past the person. So yeah, I think that all fits together. I think, best of all, it provides for a compelling storyline. So I would like to pursue this a little further and research these items. Do some more research on Tiber Septim. and this alternate history to see if it makes sense.
It's nothing.
There we go. Sweet, sweet revenge. So yeah, I know we got interrupted a few times here with all the fighting and everything, and this is another example of how I can't concentrate on two things at once. In this case, namely playing the game and telling a complicated story at the same time. So let's just go over that one more time here. So Halldir was trying to resurrect himself, probably as a means of lifting this terrible curse upon him. This curse came from Tiber Septim himself, to whom Halldir was a trusted ally, friend, probably advisor. He took the curse willingly from Tiber Septim to kind of save him, and maybe even took it, kind of transferred the curse without Tiber Septim's consent. He saw the potential in Tiber Septim. He knew he was destined to change history for the better. So he wanted to lift this curse that had kind of been thrust upon him unknowingly, and definitely unwillingly, by the cursed King Olaf. How Tiber Septim got it from King Olaf was that the spirit of King Olaf presented himself to Tiber Septim. Olaf also sensing the greatness that was apparent in Tiber Septim, or Hjalti at that point, presented himself as kind of a mentor to Tiber Septim, to a young Hjalti. And Olaf was able to instruct Tiber Septim on, in terms of strategy, civil policy, and just how to gain influence, how to run a province, how to win the influence of people. I'm going to do a cardinal sin here. I'm going to fast travel back there, because I think it's apparent at this point that the sword is not down that road. And Olaf, being kind of a celebrated historical character, Tiber Septim gladly accepted that tutelage, and it helped a lot. And I think that fits in with this alternate history idea from UESP, of some kind of dark influence that was granting Tiber Septim this power that he used, this unnatural power that he used to conquer all the people that he did. So yeah, things were going great until it became obvious that something bad was happening to Hjalti or Tiber Septim. And Halldir at that point, probably being a sage himself and having some magical knowledge, and knowledge of history and everything that it would take to kind of lift this curse, or at least transfer it to himself, went ahead and did that without Tiber Septim actually telling him to do it. Kind of like how Gandalf exercised Theoden, or exercised Saruman's influence on Theoden. Except that instead of just expelling the spirit, this curse from him, he took it upon himself. And he lived with it for a lifetime, but was able to kind of quell its influence so things didn't get too far out of hand. But it still wore on his spirit, it wore on his soul, until finally he degraded to the point where he passed away. But his spirit was kind of cursed at this point to be tortured for all eternity. And I see what Halldir was doing in Halldir's cairn as an attempt to kind of resurrect himself to the point where he could actually do something about this curse. Halldir could also be sensing the coming of the Dragonborn and the coming of the apocalypse led by Alduin, and decided that he would be needed to help guide the new Dragonborn on his quest to basically save the world from the World Eater. So that sounds pretty good. And this curse could be something that Halldir is using to incentivize Alusell to follow his plan. Could be also, this curse could also grant power. It granted Tiber Septim a dark kind of power and capacity that was kind of superhuman at the time. Or Halldir could have some darker motivations here, but I think I will explore that a little later when we get there. So this curse that Olaf bestowed upon Tiber Septim originally came from whatever dragon priest he was herald to, be that Hevnerak or Vokun. Now, in the first part of the Ghost of Yore, a dark figure with an expressionless iron mask is mentioned. And I know that Hevnerak's mask is iron and Vokun's is not. I think Vokun's is steel, or it's the other way around. I don't quite remember. But one of them is iron and one of them is steel. I don't know if that was meant to be a clue, or if the iron part was just a piece of imagery to kind of complete the visualization, the visual of that mask, that expressionless mask staring at him. But that's kind of a decision for another day. The whole Hevnerak or Vokun decision, if in fact Alusell decides to make one, doesn't have to be made till the end of the season. So yeah, I think that pretty much completes it here. Depending on how the end of this quest goes, Alusell is either on his way up to the College of Winterhold and through the Caranthir Tower area as originally planned. Well, he probably likely is anyway. But at some point I think we're going to be passing through Helgen and unlocking the dragons in the main quest there, because I think that the whole Dragonborn thing and Alduin's apocalypse fits in pretty well with all of this. So yeah, I'm pretty glad I didn't do a random Unbound start and ended up not being Dragonborn, because this all fits too perfectly. Yeah, so let me know if you have any input on this whole storyline I have going here. Let me know if you see any like plot holes or anything that I need to fill in, or if you have any inside information that I can use. I know we have some lore geeks out there. I would love to hear from you. I love talking about this stuff. So yeah, if you have anything to contribute, please hit me up on Discord or in the comment section below. I would love to hear from you. Like I said, I love talking about this stuff. But I think that we're coming up, or going just over 30 minutes now, so I think I'm going to cut the video here. We're going to have to complete this quest in another episode, I think. Because we took so long getting out here and, and having me flap my gums incoherently while trying to conduct combat. Doing both poorly, I might add. So yeah, I think that's about it. I'm just gonna double check up here to make sure I didn't forget any loot in case there was like a boss chest or something up here. Nope, that's it. Alright, so I'm gonna go ahead and cut the video here. We'll pick up right here next time. We're gonna go ahead and fight our way through this ruin. Maybe we'll pick up some story tidbits along the way. We'll head back to, well, we'll go wherever the quest takes us, but I think the sword is going back to Gjukar's monument over here. And kind of complete that circle, and we'll see if it opens up any more story possibilities for me, other than just reaffirming to Alusell that all of this is real. It's not all in his head, that he's on the right track, and it kind of fleshes out his story a little bit for me. So yeah, let me know what you think in the comments below, or on Discord. I look forward to hearing from you and talking about it, and I will see you in the next episode. See you guys.